to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Ladies, please join me in welcoming our dear Dr. Shana back to TNT once again. Dr. Shana, you can take it away.
All right. Good evening, ladies. Good evening. I'm so excited to be back. I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's see if this will work on the first try without. Yeah, you can see that? We good? All right. Excellent. 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 Thank you so much. I do not take this as lightly. It is an honor and a privilege anytime I am asked to be in the presence of God's daughters. Um, I always know when I'm asked, it's something He wants me to see too. So just so thank you, Natalie, for putting them on me tonight. I appreciate it because as I studied to prepare for you, he just like that was for me, right? Oh, I caught that. I'm picking up what you're laying down, Lord. I'm picking it up, but I'm gonna give it to your sisters, to my sisters, so we can all be on one accord. But I'm super excited to be here this evening to end your month of recharging. The title that I was given tonight was Recharging for Success as a Christian Woman. I'm like, oh, that is meaty. There is so much inside of that. How do we need to recharge? And we're going to have this conversation tonight. I've already been introduced, and I realized it's a couple of those that must be old because I've been married for 22 years, my children are 12 and 14. I need to give you an update. I'm like, who are those children? Is that a different husband? Yes, it's a few years old. All of that rest of it is still true, but they're a little bit older. We got a few more gray hairs on our head as a result. But yeah, you already know who I am, so I won't go there. So let me just start off by asking you a question. And those of you who may be new to me, I am an interactive speaker. If I'm asking questions, they are not rhetorical. I'm looking for my sisters to be in this chat box, this virtual world. You know, the best way I can touch you is in the chat box until we can do Q&A at the end. So if you got questions, make sure you write them down so we can talk about those at the end. So I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible so that we can chat. So question for you, what kind of charge do you have, ladies? Tonight's topic is recharging, right? Recharging for success as a Christian woman. So are you operating right now on a full battery charge, or do you have a low battery charge? So let's think about what are some, and you guys get in the chat and tell me, what are some of the character traits of a woman who you would say is operating on a full battery charge? Let me see what you think. So what do you think full battery charge looks like? What kind of traits does she have? How we doing? What are we looking like? Calm. Ooh, that's a good one. Happy. Okay, very good. Focused on God. Come on, sis. There you go. What else? Full battery. What is she looking like? Energized. She ready. What else does she look like? Love. She's a giver. She's content. Yes. Hey, Leslie. Actively involved with life and family. Yes, yes, yes. That's that full battery. You see, our sister at the top, she is laughing. She is having a time of her life. However, we got a sister at the bottom, got a low battery charge. Somebody talk to me in the chat box. What does that look like? What's happening with my sisters when we have a low battery charge? What's happening? She tired, tired, annoyed, stressed. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Irritable. Oh, y'all quick on this one. Overwhelmed, headaches, worried, depressed, empty, withdrawn. Wow. Y'all see how quickly we can come up with those things? Real fast, real fast. Really depressed, withdrawn, empty, all of those things. Short tempered, yes. Now, here's the thing. I want lacks direction. Oh my goodness, those are some excellent words and what we find ourselves looking like. So I want you to begin asking yourself right now, if a full charge, ladies, is 10, like that is green, and you are on go at all times, you are ready for the world, you are sister up here living her best life, and 0 is I have no battery charge, I am on 0. Put in the chat where you feel like your battery charge is right now. What kind of charges do we have from 0 to 10? 10 is, I mean, you so full, you just can't even stand it. But 0 is I am working with less than nothing. I got some 6, some 7, some 8, some 7. All right, my sisters are full in here. 7 today, 5s, 8s, 3s, 5s, 8, 4. We can be in so many places. 8, 6, 5, 4. There you go, ladies. So, and here's the thing. In general, we can find ourselves around the same place, but every day we can have a challenge that may shift us a point or two. But the reality is how we live our life on a daily basis will absolutely determine the kind of charge that we have. And so I'm going to approach this conversation tonight, if you can't tell, from the concept of batteries. Now, I am not a mechanic, but I'm going to do my level best to create a parallel between batteries in the technical world and ourselves. Now, what might be reasons a car battery just dies over and over again? So we got 6 top reasons right here. Number one, the headlights or the dome lights are left on. Anybody ever come out to your car and you put your key in there to turn it and it doesn't start? And then you look up and you're thinking, what has happened? And you think back like, oh my goodness, somebody done left the light on. Has that ever happened to anybody? That's just me. I've done that before in my lifetime. And it won't crank as much as you want to. It's not going to move, is it? Because the battery has died. What about the battery is in weak or poor condition? That it just is old. You know how when you look at a battery when it's old, it has corrosion on top of it. It's no longer smooth or clean when you first buy it. It's real pretty, if a battery can be pretty, that is. But it has corrosion on it. It's in really bad condition. So if it's in really bad condition, it probably is not going to work the same, is it? It's corroded or has loose battery connections. We see at the top of this battery, there's 2 connections, one on each side. One is positive and one is negative, but those connections are loose, so they're not able to operate correctly. There's other drains in the electrical system. Something is pulling from the electrical system, draining the energy out of it. Extremely hot or cold temperatures, the heat then got turned up. Or maybe it is just cold as ice and it doesn't work properly. Or maybe there are some charging system problems where there are some malfunctions that are going off inside of this battery. Ladies, we have the very same issues in our own emotional, spiritual well-being that our car battery has. The very same things that make this car battery die repeatedly are the same things that makes us die repeatedly, over and over good, in little ways, every single day. Some of us leave stuff on way too long. That means you've been dealing with something longer than you needed to. Perhaps you've been in a space that you weren't supposed to be in, but you just kept it on because it was on. Didn't realize, at any point, I can't turn this off. But you stay in a place, your battery might die. You're in a weak or poor condition. You didn't take care of yourself, sis. Perhaps you're in a weak or poor condition, so you're not able to do the work that you called to do. Corroded or loose battery connections, ladies, that means you are disconnected from your source. And you don't even know that you're disconnected, perhaps, because the thing that's disconnected may not even realize, oh, that's home base, because you've been disconnected for so long. You have some things that are draining your energy on a regular basis. I call them vampires. People, places, or things, situations that suck life out of you and leave you with nothing. You in a hot place. You are in a hostile, toxic environment. You're in a toxic relationship. You're in a place that is so unhealthy for you that it sucks everything out of you. It's hot. It's hot. Or there's this cold place where maybe you find yourself really isolated from people. Now, COVID-19 did that to all of us by nature of that, but I'm talking about that cold-hearted place where I'm not going to talk to nobody and can't nobody tell me nothing and I got it all together. Or maybe you just got those charging system problems, sister. It's just a malfunction and you don't even know where to start. But what we have to figure out, ladies, is how did we get here? How did we get to this malfunctioning battery? And then we're going to figure out how do we recharge it. One of the things that we all know this past, I don't know how many months, I stopped counting. I know it's been a year and a half. It's probably been longer. We've been in this COVID-19. This world has been BANANA, oh Lord, on so many ways. The stress of COVID-19 alone, if we didn't have anything else to deal with, that would have been plenty. But we know we have more. That is one of the things that creates our dysfunction in our batteries. Ladies, did you know that perfectionism creates dysfunction in our batteries and how we operate? When we're thinking we have to be a certain kind of way, we have to show up a certain kind of way, we got to have it all pieced together, we got to get everything right. Did we understand that that helps, that causes malfunction in us? What about the trap of busyness? Anybody ever been caught in that trap? where I'm just doing stuff. Yeah, you running around and you running in place. You ain't going nowhere, but you running fast, you sweating. You ask somebody for a towel, but you ain't making nowhere. But it's a trap because we think we're doing things, we think we're being productive, but busy can be a trap. Not taking time for ourselves. You know, one of the greatest things, and it is my mission in this world to help women understand really the value of self care and wellness. And one of the greatest things I hear repeatedly of why we don't take care, I'm gonna ask you, I'm not even gonna tell you what I hear. Let me see if you tell me the answer that I hear all the time. What's the number one reason that women say that we don't take care of ourselves? Somebody put in the chat for me. Number one reason. I'll wait for that because this is such a comment. I don't take care of myself because I just don't have time. Look, that is the no time, no time, no time, no time. Said who? We all have the same 24 hours. The truth is not that we don't have time. We choose to use our time in other ways is the reality. We don't allocate time for ourselves is the problem. But because we don't, our battery is low, 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 low. We work constantly, and work can look like a lot of things. It might be your actual job where you get paid, or maybe things that you make up and you call work, but we are constantly on the move working, not putting ourselves first, which means we put everybody else in front of us. Some of us ladies, we don't even have our own selves on our calendar at any given point because we look and we think there's no white space on this calendar for me. So I guess I just don't have time. The reality is if you use a pencil, you can erase anything that's on there. You can make room for yourself when you decide to. But not putting ourselves first absolutely gets us to a low charge. Thinking we're supposed to just live like this. It's just how it is, right? I'm a mother. I have children. I have a husband. I have a job. That's just how it's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be worn out. I'm supposed to not, take care of myself and make sure everybody else has everything, but do nothing for myself. This is one of the lies that we tell ourselves, ladies, that gets us to sleep at night, but it depletes our battery often. Here's a big one. We confuse sacrifice for success. We feel like I got to sacrifice myself for the sake of meeting whoever I determine's definition of success, what it might be. And that's a whole word, that's a whole class all by itself, because we do this repeatedly, trying to reach whatever we define as success. And we think I have to sacrifice myself to get it. But I'm here to tell you today, ladies, you don't. It is not a necessary requirement or condition to sacrifice yourself for anything that we call success. We have those things confused. Negative self-talk, negative people. Oh, that negative energy. Y'all saw that that battery has two terminals, positive and negative. That negative one, when we are too much in the space of negative people, that toxicity, it drains our battery. And then the biggie, biggie, biggie of all of them, we're just disconnected from God. I don't have time to pray. I don't have time to study. I don't have time to fellowship. I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. All of these things lead us back to the place where our batteries are dead. We have no charge, and we're not able to do the thing that God put us here to do, was to walk this earth and do his bidding, spreading his word, saving souls, teaching in his gospel. That's what we were called here to do, being the light in this dark place. But we can't do that when we have no charge. So distress will set in, ladies, when we get into that place with all of those things I just described. We are completely drained. We have nothing to give to ourselves or anybody. But here's the thing. I understand that stress is a normal part of life. We can let it take over us to the point that we are so overwhelmed. We are to a point of having a serious illness. So this conversation tonight is not just one for a fluffy conversation. It's really a serious conversation, because when we don't do the things, when we engage in those things I just talked about that completely deplete us, we really are killing ourselves slowly from the inside out. We really are. That's a whole nother talk for another day, but I want us to understand it has absolute consequences. When we let our stressors of life build up without utilizing our positive coping skills, our self-care, we experience that total loss of energy and inability to start again, which is why when you go outside to the car and you turn it and the battery is dead, it's just going to say, and it's not going to turn over. Our batteries are drained, ladies. It's time for us to recharge. So what do you do when your battery is dead? In the chat, what do you do? Your battery is dead. You go outside, you try to crank it, it doesn't move. What do you do? What do we do? What's the first thing you do? Call my mama. Come on, Lydia. Call for help. Yes, yes, cry. I love it. Come on, y'all, tell the truth, stay in the church. Get a jump. Get a jump, ladies. Get a jump. The question is, you know how they say, got milk? Well, I want to ask you, do you got jumper cables? Because that's what we need is jumper cables. And we're going to look into this a little bit. We think about how do you jumpstart your life so that you can recharge. You need the jumper cables. And I'm going to tell you why we need them, because you need the jumper cables to connect to a positive battery to draw from. Now, you know, like I know, if I pull up my dead car and battery, and I got another car right here that's dead and don't have the battery that works, what exactly am I going to get from that? We both dead batteries. Nothing is going to work. But if I pull up my dead battery and I get a battery that has energy flowing through it, and it has positive energy flowing through it, I can connect that positive flowing energy to the one of mine that is empty. And guess what happens? There's a jump. But remember, you got to have a positive battery to draw from. Ladies, my question for you this evening is, what are you drawing from? What well are you drawing from? Where do you look for that energy? I'm going to go straight to the book. Deuteronomy, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Is that the battery, positive battery draw that you need to be pulling life from? I'd say yes, ma'am. Jeremiah, our sovereign Lord, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for you. Is that a positive well of which to draw from? Yes, it is. Psalm says, but I will sing of your strength in the morning. I will sing of your love, for you are my fortress, my refuge in times of trouble. Where are you drawing from, ladies? What well are you drawing from? What battery are you drawing from? Some of us are trying to recharge off of a dead battery. I'm going to just sit that right there, and I'm going to let us think about that for a minute. Some of us are trying to recharge from a dead battery when we have the most amazing living battery that we have access to, that all we need to do is connect. For you have been a shelter for me, a strong tower that gives me strength. That's the song, but a strong tower from the enemy. Where are we drawing from, ladies? Are you drawing from a dead battery? Or are you drawing from the battery that has all of the life that any of us will need? Some of us are running to the wrong well. For the Lord your God is the one who goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to give us what, ladies? The victory. In a situation when the battery is dead, the victory is it turns back on. Am I right about it? In our world, when the enemy shows up and he attacks us from all sides, we know COVID-19, the Lord allowed it, but the enemy has tried to use it to attack us in so many ways. And that's something I know everybody has gone through. I don't know your specific story, but I know you in that storm. And he has used it. He has worked to use it against us. But if we look to the Lord who goes with us to fight for us against our enemies, all we got to do is stand right behind them. You go first, Lord. He's a strong tower. Where are you drawing from, ladies? What battery are you connecting yourself to get your jump charge so that you can recharge? I'm just asking. I don't know about you. I told y'all the Lord gave this lesson to me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Father God. The other thing, ladies, that we got to be for sure we do, when we get to jumping our batteries and we get to recharging with these jumper cables, you need to check your environment. See, the thing is, you want to make sure you're not in a dangerous place. For us ladies, we got to watch the company you keep. Everybody can't get invited to your recharge party. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody doesn't need a room, a table, a seat. They don't. Sometimes you need to check folks at the door and make sure, let me see your stuff and see, is this you in the right place? Because some of us been allowing folks that's not supposed to be here, we've been letting them in. We've been spending too much time with negative people who surely drain a full battery. You could have been on F before you started, but when you got into their presence, they sucked all the life out of you, and then you end up on E all over again. It may be necessary, ladies, to remove yourself from battery drainers in order to be emotionally healthy and achieve success. Remember, what is success? We get to define what that means for us at the end of this, but it may be necessary to remove yourself from those battery drainers. I'm just saying, I don't want anybody to go home today and say, Dr. Shana said, oh, I can't be your friend no more. Oh, I can't talk to you no more. I'm not trying to break up no happy homes. But what I'm saying is I'm asking you to check your environment. Check your environment. Because one of the things I know is I'm not going to change a battery on a hill that look like this. We're not going to do no jump starts on there. We're going to push that car to level ground. Are we not? Check your environment. It makes a difference where you're recharging and who and what is around you when you do it. Check it, check it, check it. Ladies, it is okay to let go. Remember, dead batteries are one of the biggest reasons motorists find themselves on the side of the road. Who wants to be on the side of the road away from the Father? I don't. And if there's anything that I am holding on to, if there's anything that's in my way of getting that recharge from the most positive well that's possible, I need to be in a space of releasing it, because I know what's ahead of me is greater than what's behind me. And I know the one who goes before me is fighting for me. I don't even have to fight. He said, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. No weapon formed. Doesn't mean a weapon didn't get formed, but it means it won't prosper. Why? Because he is our strength. He goes before us. He is the strong tower. He is the battery that we all need to get recharged and a jump start from. Did y'all catch that? He is the battery, period. He's the battery. Everything else, anything that gets in the way of that, we need, ladies, to let it go. And I'm talking about release. Like, ooh, the thing here, what we hold on to when we are like this and we holding on to negativity. Again, some of this is the places we go to recharge. These are the dead batteries we go looking to get recharged with a jump cable, like it's going to give us something. We look into relationships to jump charge us. We look into friends to do it. We looking for our job to do it. We looking for our children to give us this recharge. We're looking for people in this world or things or money or houses or cars. We're looking for those dead things to give us a recharge. And we need to be in a space of just releasing those things so that we're able to receive. I want the charge that God got to give me. I don't want anything to stand in my way. Anything that puts me in this position, I need to be able to release and let it go. So when we think about recharge, what are the areas, ladies, that we need to recharge? Whew, I wrote 3 of them down. It's 12 actual areas, literally, that we can recharge. And we're going to deal with 3 of them today: physically, mentally, and emotionally. Oh, and these are 3 big ones. We need to learn how to recharge. So how do we recharge? We're going to look at this acronym, REST, R-E-S-T, and how we can recharge for success. I want to look at the greatest example. Who we've been talking about, ladies? Jesus. Jesus is such an amazing example. He actually not only offers us rest and recharge, but he shows us exactly how to do it. This is one of the things, ladies, that many of us don't do well, because we're always caught in busy. We're running around. We're trying to recharge on dead batteries. We're doing a bunch of other things instead of resting. What I want us to understand today, ladies, is rest is a necessity. It is not a luxury. When we say, I just don't have time, you're acting as if it's a luxury. You would never say breathing is a luxury. It's a necessity. So we need to consider rest just like we do breath. And we're going to talk about what does this look like in all these different areas. It's an act of worship. It's not a sign of laziness. It allows us to be in a position to worship, to be able to be connected, to be able to hear from our Father. You can't hear from him in a noisy place. All the rushing and running around when we're in this disconnected place, we can't hear him. And maybe I'm out here by myself, but there's been periods in my life when it's just been so noisy. Anybody ever been in a noisy room and you see somebody across the room and you think they talking to you, but you can't hear what they saying? Or maybe they standing right next to you and they looking at you, talking to you, and you still can't hear them. It's because it's too much noise. We need to be in a place of rest, quiet, so that we can worship. In his earthly life, Jesus displayed many facets of rest, spiritual rest, physical rest, and mental rest. Tonight, ladies, I want to give you that recipe of rest as an opportunity for you to recharge yourself so that we can reconnect to the positive power source that is our Father. How did Jesus rest? Come ye yourselves apart into a desert place and rest a while. There are so many places in the Bible where Jesus rested. What do we know about him? We know he worked, he worked, he worked, he worked. He did a lot of work. He was a foot soldier. He walked from hither to there. But when it was time to rest, he knew it was time. For in 6 days, the Lord made the heavens and the earth, to see all that is in them, and rested on the 7 days. Ladies, we run 7 days a week and don't even think we have time to rest. God had a whole day to rest after he worked 6 whole days. If it was sufficient and well for him to rest, do we not get to do it as well too? After ministering to others and before pouring himself out again, Jesus left everyone and spent time with God. That's a pattern that you'll see repeated throughout the Gospels. Jesus rested. He modeled physical rest. He fell asleep in a boat with the disciples in the midst of a raging storm. Jesus knew how to rest. God showed us what rest looked like in the very beginning. Yet still we struggle to rest. The emotional rest. Jesus modeled mental rest. He was unafraid to pull away and leave the crowds, even when they desperately wanted him. He would get in a boat with the disciples, go to the other side, away from the multitudes. Immediately, he made the disciples get in the boat, go ahead of him to the other side while he sent the crowd away. Jesus knew that in the midst of all of what everyone wanted from him, that he had to take a moment to steal away. Ladies, we have the need that when we are running around, we are working on perfection and we are taking care of everybody else, and we don't put ourselves on our own calendar. We have no white space and we say we don't have time. We have all of this noise. We are not emotionally rested. It is a requirement for us to do the work that he has called us to do, for us to get in this space of rest. We get depleted when we don't, ladies. How we get to zero level of battery charge is by not doing the thing that's called emotional rest. Spiritual rest. First and foremost, Jesus modeled spiritual rest. He took time to be alone with God. This was the highest priority of his life, as he knew he needed to hear God's voice, understand his direction, and rest in his presence. And when he had sent that multitude away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And we know that prayer is our opportunity to talk to our Father. And when the evening was come, he was there, not with a bunch of people. He was there alone. How much time do we spend in spiritual rest, ladies? How much time? Because remember, when we're in that space of spiritual rest and we're praying and we're reading and we're Bible studying, we are getting that connection from the most positive well that we have access to. Do you understand? That is when it can connect. When we're able to get quiet and be alone to do so. Absolutely, there's great value in us coming together in like an amazing space as we are. But there is time when we need to get by ourselves. I am here for a good prayer closet, a war room. Oh, Lord Jesus, I'm grateful for mine. It is in those moments that I can hear so clear from him. And I don't know about you, when I get to that quiet place of spiritual rest, I feel so full emotionally, like the tears just well and they just roll, because I know I've connected. Oh, that's when the recharge happened. I don't know if I'm out here by myself, but that's what it does for me, ladies. Spiritual rest is necessary. And then that last T in rest is check your trunk. We're talking about a car here, right? I want to see what's in your trunk, ladies. You got to figure out what's in your trunk that is actually holding you back. What's holding you down? What's keeping you from being able to reconnect and get the recharge from Jesus? What do you have that needs to be removed that is no longer serving you? You might have some duct tape and it is attached to some negative attitudes. I'm gonna require, sis, that you go in that trunk and you throw that out. You may have some dirty rags that's holding on to some past hurts, pains, or resentments. We need to put those to the side and get us some fresh ones, ladies. You may have some old tires that's filled with some old habits that you've been rolling around in for the last 10 or 15 years, ladies. It is time to let go and release those things that are holding us back. We need to replace these with the items that will increase our personal, physical, spiritual power and connectedness and our ability to connect and get recharged from our Father. Ladies, those jumper cables to your positive thinking, that roadmap to your wellness. And I am so passionate about wellness. There are 12 dimensions of wellness, ladies. I have no time to get into that this evening, but there are 12 that we need a roadmap to figure out how do I maneuver that so that I'm in a position to be wholly well, so that I can walk in what God has called me to do. We need a new spare tire so we can roll out new habits. Sis, that's your Bible study. That's your morning meditation when you begin to read God's word. That's your prayer life, your self-care, your journaling, your relaxation. You need new habits. That old stuff that you've been working with, that old stuff that you've been doing, those things are not serving you anymore. In fact, those are the things, ladies, that are keeping you disconnected. Those are the things that are keeping you in a place that you are not able to do what it is that God called you here to do. Ladies, we all, this is a whole nother lesson. I'm doing this whole book study on Sarah Jakes Roberts' new book called Woman Evolved. And baby, she talks about we are seed. God has given us seed, ladies, and we have gifts and talents and things he's placed in us so that we can revolutionize the world. And we will not be able to do that on his behalf for him if we walking around with all this old stuff in our trunk that's holding us back, keeping us from staying connected to him when we need to get a recharge. You might need to get you a new jack legs to lift you up in affirmation when you're feeling down. Life gets tough. It's hard in these streets. I know it's not easy being a woman in this world, but I promise you, if we stay connected, I promise you, if we get to the place where we continue to be recharged and we look to the most positive well that there is nothing that we can't do. Success, ladies, by definition, really just means forward progression. You were successful today because you showed up here tonight. You are successful anytime you take a step in a right direction. Sometimes we think success means I've made it. I got $1 million. I got a big house. I got this big job, or I got whatever. My body looks like this. All of that is great. But success is such a micro thing. God sees success in us continuing to look to him, continuing to count on him, continue to stay connected to him. That's progress, moving in a forward direction. What direction are we moving, ladies? The ultimate goal of a Christian is to make heaven our home. So when we talk about success, are all the things that you are doing in whatever facet of your life, are they moving you closer to the ultimate goal, which is the one we all have, is to make heaven our home? I don't know about you, sis, but I'm thinking it's time to get some rest. It's time. Is anybody in here ready to get some rest? Do you need some rest right now, sis, so that you can recharge yourself to go out and do the work that you've been called to do? One of the things that I know for sure, Jesus was clear on what God called him to do. So other people's pressing needs, all of their desires for his presence, all of the things in the chatter, what they wanted, didn't drive his activity because he remained focused on what it is that he was called to do. Ladies, I'm encouraging you to remain focused on what it is we've been called to do. Then we're able to recharge, stay connected to the Father so that we can do the work that he has put in us to revolutionize this world. Oh, we have a mighty, mighty, mighty job to do. We cannot do it, ladies, on dead batteries. So make a commitment to yourself tonight that I will not recharge from a dead battery. I will choose to recharge from the battery that has the most positive flow of all. And in order for me to make that connection, I must get rest. I must get rest. I'm hopeful that something was said tonight, ladies, that inspired you, that got you to thinking in some way. Definitely open to questions or comments at this time. I did want to offer you one thing to stay connected to me, because I love being connected to my sisters. There is nothing in this world that I love more than being in the space with all of you. Next week, actually, I was really happy we're having this tonight so I can invite you to my free 4-day boot camp where I'm talking about how we can continue to get rid of that chatter, to move away from that overwhelm, so we can go into overflow and live the abundant life that God has called us to. And I'm not talking about money abundance. I'm talking about abundance of energy, of creativity, of relationship, of all of the things that are good in this world. But we need to know how to do it, ladies. So if you text the word recharge to 55444, you'll get a link to get your free seat into this event. Or if you want to, be VIP and upgrade yourself, you'll get a code that will give you a 50% discount to upgrade. But if you don't want VIP, you're still a VIP. Just get your free seat and come to this 4-day boot camp. Myself and my girlfriend, Janiqua, she actually is a member of the church in Denton, and we are going to have a wonderful time helping us to stay recharged, connected to the most powerful source of energy, none other than Jesus himself. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Are there questions? I don't know if there's a Q&A where questions are being held, or how do we want to do that, ladies?
Ladies, Dr. Shana is serving it to us today. You do know this, and I'm gonna tell you how you know it, because you said that when you were studying this, he was giving you something. And oh my, so you know what we're feeling right now. We're like, yes, this and that and that. It is so much in that. But I tell you what we were doing, Dr. Shana, and what pandemic did to us, it did sit us down.
Yeah, it did.
And it made us stop being so busy. But
Mhm.
now, and I'm speaking for myself, as things start to open up,
Yeah,
what are you going to do?
come on now.
How different are you going to live your life so that you
Mhm.
don't get caught up in the business, running around? What do you say, running around busy? Ain't
Running
going
around and you ain't going nowhere. You're on a treadmill, honey. You're not outside on the track.
so get off the hamster wheel of life. And
Please.
so I am seriously considering, how am I going to get this done and not go back to where I am, and
Exactly.
not to forget that I need to rest.
You do.
I
You
have
do.
to rest because I am a mother of, and I'm a wife, and I'm a sister, and I'm all those things, all those titles that I hold.
Mhm.
But he didn't put me here on this earth just to be those things.
No,
And
it
I can't forget that. Like you said, Jesus was focused
did.
because
Yep.
he knew his calling.
Yes.
He was sure, he wasn't
Yep.
distracted. So
Yep.
I mean, all of that, all of that. But
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Kenneth, can you go back for me? And I know you skipped over this, but I want people to understand how serious this is when it comes to, when you said stress can lead to serious illness.
Yes. We hold
And help
so
us with
much stress in our
help
body,
us
my
with
Lord.
that point, because I think we don't really realize how having our hands in so many things and what that does to our temple.
It does. It
What
does.
tell us about ourselves.
So what we have to understand, and I'm not a medical doctor, but I will definitely say what I do know is that stress has a chemical reaction that shows up in our body. When we are living in a state of chronic stress, we are releasing a chemical in our body in excessive amounts that our body is not equipped to expel or spend. So what does it do? It continues to sit inside of our body and it wreaks havoc on other organs, other parts of our body. So when you think about women who are excessively stressed out, they have heart attacks because their heart is working excessively hard, because there's things that are happening inside. There's hormones, there's chemicals in her body that were working against her the whole time. When we begin to release those things by resting, by caring for ourselves, then what we do is we can reset our entire biology. We have that. God has made our bodies in such an amazing way that the choices that we make can affect change in how they function. I remember there was a point in my life I was on high blood pressure medication. It was genetic. I got it in my bloodstream. But when I changed how I ate, when I began to exercise, when I began to take care of myself, guess who hadn't had a blood pressure pill in a decade?
Mhm.
because I made choices that actually changed the makeup, the chemical makeup of my body. Ladies, we are literally killing ourselves from the inside out. We get ulcers. Black women are the highest at risk for having heart attacks. I don't know if y'all know that, but cardiac health for Black women, we are in danger, literally in danger. So that is another reason why we can't afford to walk around with a bunch of stress on us. We can't. Our chemistry and our cultural makeup, our DNA is such that we can't afford that for sure. We get migraines and headaches. I hear so many women say, I have a headache. Sis, that's not normal. It is not normal to walk around with a headache all the time. Well, girl, I just take an Advil or an aspirin. You can do that, sis, but it's not normal for us to live in that way. It is not. Those are the things that over time wear away at our bodies. The chemical reaction is cortisol is the chemical that gets released in our body. Ladies, we are not designed to carry such high levels of it. And when we have what we call chronic stress, that is repeated stressful situations that our body is introduced to, it continues to create it over and over and over and over again into excess. It's
Mhm.
problematic, but we can do something about it. That to me is the beauty of it, that we can. But many of us feel like, well, that's just how it is, and I just can't help it. Well, COVID happened, and so I ate all the things because I was at home, and I gained the COVID 19 pounds or whatever it might be, and it's just how it is. It don't have to be those things. We have choices. We are empowered to do a lot of things, and when we live lives where we don't take care of ourselves in any of these ways, and we live this highly stressful world, we literally are killing ourselves, and we won't be here to do the work. We won't be here to reap the benefit of all the work you've done. You won't see the benefit of it. You will not get to reap what you have sown. You won't get to see it because we will be out of here or not able to enjoy it. I have some girlfriends. I have one who literally almost died from stress. She's younger than I am. I'm 44 almost. And it almost killed her. And she figured out, oh, that ain't the way to go. Don't matter what age you are. Folks think, well, I'm young. That doesn't matter. It does not matter. It's young and old. It doesn't matter. Hopefully that answers your question, sis. But that's a big one. It is.
I just think we don't understand how much of a toll it takes
Yes.
on our body, and how we allow the things that God bless us with to distract us so much from doing the thing that He wants us to do,
Yep.
including taking care of ourselves. So thank
Yep.
you for that. You walk down all the streets.
Listen, if I got to your house, I hope you let me in. Y'all leave me out in the cold.
I'm
I hope I
closing the
won't.
door. Lock it through the peephole. Sisters, if you have been encouraged tonight, if you have any questions for Dr. Shana, please unmute yourself and let her know what's on your mind, what's on your heart. Any questions or comments? I'm going to mute myself now.